Do you have a favorite ancestor? Maybe it's someone that you've known and loved your whole life and that you've got some amazing stories about them that you want to make sure get shared and passed on. Maybe it's somebody you never knew and you're curious and you want to learn more about them. I would love to hear from you about who and why that person is in just a minute. But before we do, I'm Crista Cowan. I am the corporate genealogist here at Ancestry, and this is an inside look. And joining me again is our CEO, Howard Hochhauser. Howard, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.
This is time 2. We're making this a habit.
I'm glad I made it back.
Okay. Well, last time you were here, you had fairly recently taken over the reins as CEO, and you had introduced a new mission statement to us. I'd love it if you could remind us about that and why that's important to you.
I'm happy to. So I joined the company after finding my grandfather's old man's draft card. And that draft card, seeing the image, seeing his signature, on that image, I found out he lived very nearby on Pitt Street. So that one card got me to move cross country with my wife and 2 kids to Utah. And that really, cemented in my mind the power of content. And from that day, I have just been obsessed and really motivated and energized by content. And not just the content in itself, but the stories behind the content. Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to do is refocus the company on family history and storytelling. So we changed the mission statement to want everyone, and we mean everyone, to discover, preserve, and share their unique family stories. And that's what it's all about. So expect us to focus more on content.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Well, Howard and I took the stage at Roots Tech, the biggest genealogy conference in the world, but we wanted to share some of the things we shared at Roots Tech with our online audience. And so we're going to talk about some things. Some of our colleagues are going to share some things about some of the new product features on Ancestry. But before we do, we want to talk about those favorite ancestors. So if you would, in the comments, leave a little bit about who your favorite ancestor is and why. And while you're doing that, Howard, I'm going to ask you, who's your favorite ancestor?
Yes. So my grandma Ruth, who was this sort of shortest person from Poland that I really grew up with, right? She was in my house all the time. So quiet, small, but strong. And just, really amazing person that came over on the ship. She lost her sister on the journey over. I have, since her passing, found the house that she moved into or the apartment that she moved into when she came. And just like a wonderful person. And now I'm starting to fill out the story behind her life when she was in Poland and when she came to America.
I love that.
Including, I've now found her grade school report card from Poland, which is the coolest thing ever. So I saw her grades and, reading, writing, and dance, and these other little hobbies that she had. Not all great, but certainly interesting and fills out a bit more about my grandmother.
Yeah, it's always so interesting when you think about, we always picture them as these little old ladies, right? But she was a child. She
Right.
had a whole life before you came along.
Well said. That's very true.
Yeah. Well, my favorite ancestor is my great-great-grandmother. So she was the grandmother of my grandfather. And when I was a young teenager, he asked me, because he knew I was interested in family history, if I could find out about her. And he wanted to know, why did he only meet her twice in his life? When she died while he was away serving in World War II, what were the circumstances around that? What caused kind of that rift in the family? Did I know where his cousins ended up? He didn't know any of that. And it sent me on this quest for about 20 years to find her and her story. I actually discovered it shortly after I started working here at Ancestry 22 years ago now. And the cool thing about that, though, is that I continue to make discoveries about her. So just in October, I had the opportunity to meet a third cousin who is another great-great-granddaughter of hers. We've never met before. She walked in with these photo albums that she had just inherited from her father. And in it were pictures of Carrie that I had never seen
Oh, my
before.
gosh.
And she and I both teared up about it. And then I was able to share with her some of the pictures and stories that I had that had come down in our branch of the family tree. And so I love that there are still discoveries to be made, even about an ancestor I've been researching for 40 years of my life,
yeah.
right? And so those of you who are watching, again, as you think about who's your favorite ancestor, sometimes it's hard to pick favorites, right? But I think the why behind that is a little different for you than it is for me. But for me, it was about the person that started me on my family history quest. For you, it sounds like you had a personal relationship
Yeah,
with Grandma Ruth, right?
absolutely.
Well, as you think about stories, Ancestry has all this data, and oftentimes we talk in really big numbers, right? So we have just announced that we now have 70 billion records on the website. Like, that number is hard to comprehend. So I've broken it down a little bit. You're a numbers
Okay.
guy. You might appreciate this. We are publishing an average of 10 million records a day to the site.
That's stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Right?
Yeah.
So while you and I have been sitting here having this conversation,
Yeah.
right, hundreds of thousands more records coming online. Like that, the discoveries that makes possible for people, like that just is so exciting.
I got that in my year in review on Ancestry. We showed you how many hints you accepted and then how many of those hints came from new content.
Right.
And for me, 25% of my hints last year came from new content collections that we launched in 2025.
I love that.
And that's why adding more content is so foundational to the company.
Yeah, absolutely. So in addition to those, 10 million new records a day on average, there's also about 5,000 new people taking a DNA test every day. And there's about 300,000 new photos and documents and stories being uploaded by our users every day.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
So one of the things we talked about the last time was a recent acquisition of iMemories. How's that going?
It's going great. Talk about adding content, right? That is just a super pipeline of adding more user-generated content. First, give it to the consumers that want it digitized. But if they want to, add that to your tree, add that to the Ancestry Memories tab. So it's going exceedingly well. That fits squarely within our mission of discover, preserve, and share family stories. What better story is there than seeing a picture of your ancestors on their trip to Europe in 1970?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, joining us today is Vice President of Marketing, Eric Allen, and he's going to talk a little bit more about how Ancestry is integrating iMemories into a new product offering from Ancestry called Ancestry Preserve. Eric, before you share that with us, though, I would like to know, and we all would, what is the story of your favorite ancestor?
Thanks, Krista and Howard. I'm Eric Allen. I'm our Vice President of Marketing. When I think about a favorite ancestor, it's a difficult question, but for me, my favorite ancestor is my second great-grandfather, Jakob Björnsson, who came from Iceland to America in the late 1800s with his wife and one small baby. Jakob has been a fascinating character for me to study and learn about and research on Ancestry, and I find that every time I learn something new about his life, something else makes me question what else was going on. And while I know a little bit about his life in America, I really don't know a lot about what his life was like in Iceland and what drove that decision. Several years ago, my grandfather passed away, and he was our family historian. And when he did, I inherited his family history media, which included thousands of photos, videos, and slides that he had taken over a lifetime. And I decided I wanted to figure out how to digitize this material so that I could preserve it and share it with the family forever. And in order to do that, I had to buy equipment and learn software and spend hours and hours and frankly years digitizing this material so that it could be shared with the family. And that showed us something. This is a real consumer challenge. This is a problem. What do I do with all this material? At Ancestry, we've launched a new product called Ancestry Preserve. And Ancestry Preserve's mission is to make it as easy as possible for all of you to send in your priceless family memories for us to digitize for you. For decades, Ancestry has been the world leader in historic document preservation, digitization, sharing. And now we want to bring that same capability and that expertise and that know-how about how to digitize those exact same things that are probably in your family. So how does it work? It's super simple. We mail you an empty box. In that box, you'll add your family photos, videos, audio tapes, documents, anything you would like us to professionally digitize for you. We have digitized hundreds of millions of records over the years. So we have some experience in what we do. And we'll use that exact same care on your priceless family memories. After we've digitized the items, we upload them to your gallery on Ancestry, where you can tag them, colorize them, share them, add stories and contexts to the photos. And when we're done, we'll ship the box with your contents back to you. We're so excited for you to have Ancestry Preserve. I was recently able to use this process end to end. It was so simple and so easy. By the end, I was able to see photos of Jakob and his family from Iceland. and share them and tag them and tell stories about what we knew about him with my family. Storytelling is a critical part of what we do here, and we believe so deeply that these artifacts have the potential to connect you with family stories and who people were and the ability to share those with other people. It's a great product. You're going to love it. We're so excited for you to have it. Crista and Howard, back to you.
Well, Eric, thank you. So exciting to hear what's happening in the world of Ancestry Preserve, and fun to hear the story about your family from Iceland. So last time you were here, we talked a little bit about Ancestry Preserve, but since then, you've had some circumstances in your family that have made this even more valuable to you.
Yeah, my dad passed away in August after an amazing 87 years. And I was blessed to have such a good and close relationship with him. As part of that, I went through the basement of his house and found slides and slides, still on the carousel, reels, videotapes, photographs, all stuff that now I must, and I said this publicly, my New Year's resolution, I'm going to digitize it all this year. So order a box from Ancestry Preserve and start getting that stuff digitized. And truthfully, my family hasn't seen it since it was probably first shot in the 70s. So can't wait to get that digitized, preserved, and share it with everybody in my family.
Love that. Did you peek through it at all, or are you going to be as surprised as everybody?
A little bit. Surprisingly, actually, the slide did work. The light bulb still works from the 70s. A little bit. So now I need to get it online so I could share it with everybody. My only regret is not doing it sooner.
I love that. That's amazing that those rich resources exist. It's exciting to listen to Eric talk about, the things that he's discovering in some of those photos from his family, what you've got available to you. We digitized a lot of our stuff ages ago. I'm kind of tempted to send it back through Ancestry Preserve because I bet it would come out better quality than what I did 10 years ago.
Indeed. Now there's an AI feature to improve the quality
right?
of the read. Yes.
Yeah, love that. Well, we talked earlier about the millions of records Ancestry is adding to the site, and really the way that people can get into those records and find them is because of the tools and features that we're adding. So joining us today is one of the leaders in our product organization. Shane Singh is here to tell us about some of those new tools and features. But Shane, before you do, we would love to hear a little bit about your favorite ancestor.
Thank you, Howard and Crista. I'm Shane, and I lead design on the Family History product. Today I want to talk to you about the record page and full text search, but a little bit about my favorite ancestor first. My favorite ancestor is actually my grandfather on my mother's side, and I don't actually know all that much about him. That's why he's kind of mysterious to me. One of the things that I discovered on Ancestry was actually a marriage certificate between my grandmother and my grandfather, and through that, I actually discovered that they had eloped because they were madly in love, and it was a little bit scandalous for my family. And learning that actually helped me feel a deeper connection to who my grandmother was and my grandfather, whom I never met. And that's why we're making some of the moves that we're making on the record page to really put the records and the images front and center, things like draft cards and yearbook photos, things that have little handwritten notes in the margins that tell the bigger story around a person's life and who they were as an individual. We know that the record page is where people primarily look to evaluate and discover more about their ancestors. And to make it easier to validate the information that you find in records, we're making it easier to compare to what you already have so that you can research with even greater confidence. Not all records are easily accessible, and so we're working hard to make it easy to search for keywords in records that were historically harder to access. That's why we're working on full text search. Full text search allows you to search for exact keywords in records such as church records, probate records, even family history books. And this unlocks a completely different avenue for people to find information about their loved ones. Some of what makes full text search more powerful and different than just our regular search is that you get catapulted directly into the record itself. And so you're able to kind of understand all of the contexts that lead up to what you're searching for and after, and there's lots of discoveries to be made in all of the areas in between. I'm really excited about all of these improvements that we're making to help people to discover all of the really interesting, juicy information about their family that they can then take to connect even deeper with their living loved ones about their ancestors, like what I discovered about my grandmother and my grandfather that helped me paint them in a deeper light. Now back to you, Howard and Crista, to tell us what you're excited about.
Shane, thank you so much for sharing. I'm not sure which I want to dig into more, that story of that elopement or the actual features you shared with us. But I will say I am really excited about full text search.
Yeah, that's going to be extremely powerful for folks like me and power users.
Yeah.
I remember when we first digitized probates, we could only digitize and index a few of the names, whereas now the full document will be searchable.
Yeah, beginning users in family history, like they learn about census records and draft cards and passenger lists, very fielded, clean records that we can make easily searchable. But there are so many records that are not easily searchable. Probates, wills, records of enslavement, things that will really help people find not just their ancestors, but the stories of their ancestors. It's a game changer.
It's powerful.
Yeah. And then Shane talked about making the image the hero, which is, I think, a directive from you.
Yes. That's right. It's all about storytelling and all about looking at that content, looking at the hero image, and having an emotional reaction.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited about the stories we're going to be able to uncover. One particular story that I'm interested in this year. So on July 4th of this year, we'll be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Amazing.
And my ancestry is a little different than yours. So I went through an exercise earlier this year and discovered that I have 25 direct ancestors from all different branches across my tree who served either in the military during the Revolutionary War or contributed to the cause.
Amazing.
Yeah. But the population was so small at the time.
Yeah.
Some of them have to have known each other. And so I'm kind of curious to learn a little bit about what their stories were and try to put those pieces together. So you're going to be digitizing things all year. I'm going to be digging into Revolutionary War records, apparently. But I'm thinking a lot about even just the connections of those threads of stories throughout time. So if I asked you where you were on July 4th, 1976, could you tell us?
Where was I? I actually, because of my dad passing away, I'm looking through some of these old photographs. There's a picture of he and I in New York Harbor with all the tall ships came to New York to celebrate the bicentennial. And so I remember vividly being with him and with family, looking at the tall ships. And it was a beautiful day. And it was a great picture of the two of us together. So very fond memories. And hopefully this year I'll be doing the same with my kids in DC or wherever we are. But I'm sure the fireworks on July 4th are going to be spectacular wherever you are in the U.S. So I'm actually looking forward to it. It's going to be a great year.
I love that you have a picture of that day,
Yes.
right? I do too. My family on July 4th, 1976, for the 200th anniversary, were in a certain Southern California theme park with 85,000 other people. It was insanity. I remember being little and squished in the crowds. And the big family story is that my mom lost her wedding ring that day.
Okay, so different experiences.
So I should probably get my parents' perspective of that story at some point, though. That might be good. I love that family history is still happening, right? Those stories, we still have them. We have them from our own lives to share, as well as stories from the lives of our ancestors to dig into. So every one of you have ancestors who were somewhere. Maybe they weren't signing the Declaration of Independence or fighting in the Revolution. Maybe they weren't crossing an ocean from Poland, but they were living lives that have stories that are rich and that need to be told. So here is your little assignment from me before Howard and I go, which is I would love for you to pick an ancestor and dive into the records using some of the new tools and features. Maybe you're going to get some things digitized and find a photo you forgot you had, or maybe you're going to do a little digging into full text search and see if you can't find and then share a story about that ancestor. Because your family story doesn't end with what you already know. There's always more to discover. So Ancestry brings the data and the tools. You bring the pictures and the stories. We are all in this together. I am so grateful that you joined us here for an inside look. Howard, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, just
honored.
You're going to have to come back again.
I'd love to.
Okay. Well, until next time, I'm Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.